Welcome everyone to the 4th episode of looking at all Black Ops 2's multiplayer maps, but out of bounds. So today's video is going to include Raid, Slums, and Standoff, so without further ado, let's get right into it. So first up we have Raid here, which actually had a few interesting secrets. First up, in the center of the map, there is actually a very thin layer of water, and so if you go underneath it, it's not a thin layer. In fact, it's an entire pool, and you can swim in it, even if you can't see it. Not really, anyway. Here's a mystery that we've all asked ourselves. What is inside the building in Spawn? You can look right into it, but it's a complete dark room. So I decided to take a look, and there is a space here, but there's nothing special about this room. It's just a black box. I still thought it was pretty neat that they had an entire room done, though. I wanted to see what was going on the top floor, so I took a look, and everything is interconnected pretty well here. I was pleasantly surprised by this finding. You'll notice that this door down here, you'll see in a moment, I go right through it, and it connects to an accessible part of the map, so just to have that connection, even if inaccessible, is still cool. And going through this door leads to a room too, which you can see from the map, but you can never access. So the fact it all interconnects so perfectly is really satisfying, to say the least. So what's happening across from that room? Well, when I looked up here, it's not quite as interconnected. There's no feasible way to get up here, lore-wise, I guess you could say. Because at least you had that little bedroom area that had the door, but this, yeah, there's no possible way to get up there, even if you are the owner of this place. So what's going on outside of the map itself? Well, I tried to pass this vehicle and went through the road very quickly. There was not a hint of collision. So, as I usually do, I like to follow the roads out of the map, see how they end, whether it's abruptly or they clash with some geometry, and it went on for some time. The scenery was quite nice too, some trees, some rocks, and everything like that, but started getting bare over here, and it was around here that I noticed there's some stuff beneath us, and so I wanted to check that out at some point, but yeah, the road just abruptly ended in the trees. So what is going on underneath? Is there collision? No, there isn't. Not a hint of it, but we shouldn't be surprised. We're pretty far out from the map. I do have to wonder why there is a whole additional layer here. It's not like it's used at any point, as far as I know. I decided from here I should just fly around and sort of explore what's within the trees, and eventually I came across the other road that belonged to the other side of the map, which we can see here that it just quickly fades into nothingness on the way out. So of course I was interested to see the level of collision available on this road. Yeah, it didn't seem like much. And it didn't seem like much here either. But I took a venture back into the map and decided to drop down here. And it does have collision, which is cool. So while I was exploring just outside the map, I noticed this road. And this road had collision, which was a surprise. But it gave out rather quickly. However, I wanted to keep checking out where this went. So while not as scenic as the other road, I wanted to see where it ended, and yeah, went into a hill and just ended there. If a road doesn't end by trees, an empty void, or a mountain/hill, then it ain't Black Ops 2. It's gotta be one of those three, technically four things. I'm sure you guys are asking what's going on with the buildings in Raid. Well, let's find out. So, I'm gonna warn you all right now. We are entering the city of low resolution, thus confirming that every Black Ops 2 map with buildings is connected, and the locations that the game tells you that the maps take place in are nothing short of a complete and utter lie. I'm just kidding. But what I will say here is we do have a lot of Google Maps on the ground, which is interesting, and yeah, that's all I really want to say about it. And let's just take a moment to pause the video here. BRE, NHAV, and whatever that is, they were all in Express. Even ENT12, Zelva, Cola, all of them. And guess what? Getty Images, for the third time, makes an appearance. Welcome back. We've missed you. Good to have you back on the team. I did have to freeze the video here just so the glare wouldn't be too much for you guys. But that little thing over there, that is the map we play. That is, in fact, Raid. So just a few more elements before we move on. There are some pretty cool houses back here. Those are pretty nice. But they are filled with the surface. You can only see the houses mostly from the front, because from the back the elevation just consumes them all. Yeah, even right here, the back is just consumed by the hill. And I looked at it from the front, and it's the same ordeal. Part of it's consumed by it. So then I tried to see if maybe there was a way to look at it from the map, but no, it's not, because the wall there just manages to hide it. So Slums is next up on our list, and there are a few out-of-bounds goodies that I'd like to look at. So what's with the building that hangs in the back spawn? What is in there? Is there going to be a floor? Is there going to be something cool, or what are we to expect? I decided to take a look, and nothing much in here. In fact, most of the map's assets disappear in here, and I don't really know why that is. I don't really know how these kind of things work, so I'm quite curious. So if somebody can explain this to me in the comments, I'd love to hear your response. So I went through the gate, and I lost collision almost immediately, but it is kind of fascinating. You can shoot the garbage. Nice little touch, Ferric. Nice little touch. So from here, I used the opportunity to explore around in the land of low resolution, and, well, surprise, surprise, it came pretty quickly. And it turns out that the 2D textures also came pretty quickly, too. It's actually not spanning too far out from the map, and there's a couple layers of it, almost similar to Overflow. This building here I thought was pretty cool, and it looked relatively solid, so I'd sort of had hoped that there was collision, but there wasn't, so I figured I could move on. The cool thing is, you can see that building we just passed from inside the map. Of course, your angles have to be a little bit specific in order to see a part of it, but even then, it seems like such a cool building. I wish it was more visible and easier to see. So anything special going on this side? Well, not particularly, but the buildings have decent resolution until you pass a certain point, with some of them still having decent geometry at least to make them feel more lively. Which I always like seeing decorated stuff, even out of bounds, because it gives people like me and anybody who's watching a chance to appreciate something that not many people get to do. So I kept running here, and I was running on top of the ceiling barrier until that just gave out, and then from here it's just no clipping, which, surprisingly, the buildings did look decent here. I'm shocked. I was curious to see what was on the other end of the map. What happened when I went this way, and almost immediately I was met with 2D buildings. Hell, that 2D row of buildings clipped through a 3D building. It was so weird to see it so quickly. I wasn't expecting it, but alas, it was there. I was able to walk on this balcony on the other side of the map, which was cool. So I decided to follow the road out of the map again on this side this time, and I was met with a 2D backdrop and 2D buildings rather quickly, albeit not as quickly as the last set. But having said that, I realized something kind of interesting. Where I'm standing right now, you can see a 2D building. It's hard to catch, and you probably won't notice it very easily, but it's there. You can see it from inside the map itself. Our last trip for today is Standoff. So right by the spawn, there was an inaccessible doorway that took us to an isolated room that has nothing more than just 2 walls and a floor. But the fact that it even has that was pretty cool in its own right, so I can't complain. So while I was screwing around, I found this graffiti on the wall that's actually really hard to read if you are in the map. And that's because it's covered by shadows and trees and everything like that, so this is the best shot you're going to get of it. And I even tested it, because if you look here in this footage, if the game would be nice enough for me to get a view, you can barely see, you can see a tint of purple there, and that's it. So if you go to this door on the outskirts of the map and go through it, you'll notice a floor and wall that connect to the door that is behind the desk in the house that is in the center of the map. How cool is that? I'm thinking maybe they had beta plans to include it as an extra part of the map, but realized maybe it would be too hectic in the middle. That's my guess. So what's going on upstairs? Well, if you go through the door here, there is a floor with no walls, which was kind of interesting. What about this one? Anything special? Just a very dark room with actual stuff in it. This room is full and utilized in everything, but it is still inaccessible. So with the amount of things inside and inaccessible doors, I figured I'd try them all, and this had black tiles, which was something. Wasn't everything, but it was something. It was cool in its own right. The door in the corner here didn't really have anything except these metal sheets going through the wall. That was about all it had. There was one more area I wanted to check before going out of bounds. You can go through that door and check out this black room with this abyss out here. That's all it has, but the fact that you can travel through it, and I think I've actually been in there before with some modded games. I think we were playing Zombieland or something, and it was possible to get into that space with that mod being used. Such a fun game. So this is just outside the map now, and there's surprisingly a lot of geometry here minus the train. And so the first thing I wanted to do was follow and see where the track would lead me. It did go on for some time too. You can see here that I had to cut a lot of it off. So one problem I had here was that I got a bit impatient and ended up paying the price for it. I tried using teleport gun, which didn't go so well. So this is the last shot I can give you before utter chaos happens, where I fired the gun and was never seen again. I somehow escaped the endless abyss and had returned to the map to just investigate more of the out of bounds section. And one thing that you'll notice here is that there is a lot of out of bounds elements that do in fact have a decent amount of collision. I was able to even climb up this hill and all, but of course, while the collision lasts for a while, it doesn't last forever. I want to take a look at some of the far out buildings, and they got some stuff going on here, which is cool. I decided to keep flying over and see if there was anything else I could find, and there were more buildings coming up on me, but nothing too special about them. I actually found out that the road itself had collision and decided to promptly follow it, as I always do with these vehicular paths. Although this road didn't go on much longer than when I found it, because a combination of the hill, the abyss, and the trees all took part in giving this road its peace and its rest. I didn't realize there was a whole lake behind the map, so I wanted to check it out. And surprisingly, you can swim in it. Believe it or not, you can swim in this lake. Well, actually, you can swim in part of it. You can't swim in all of it. Believe me, I tried just to find out. I was falling through a shit ton. Thanks to Treyarch for making such a great map to explore and just run around in, and look at the things that you normally can't see. There's life here, and maybe it's not as excitable as Plaza or Express or Cargo. It still is a great map just to admire the beauty of. So thanks, Treyarch. Thank you for putting all the passion, heart, love, and smarts into making Black Ops 2 feel as alive and just fun as it is, even to this day, going on 12 years later.